If you have hypothyroidism, you know how confusing the nutrition advice can be. It feels like a total minefield of eat this, definitely don't eat that. Well, today, we're going to cut through all of that noise. We're going to zero in on a few key science-backed ideas that can actually make a difference for your thyroid health. Let's jump right in. So let's start with this quote, because it's pretty wild. It's about 2 of the most common minerals people take for their thyroid. But here's the kicker. Getting the balance wrong isn't just a waste of money. It can actually make things worse. We're going to break down exactly what this means and, more importantly, how you can get it right. But before we can really dig into that, we've got to start with the basics. So let's do a super quick rundown of what your thyroid is, what it's supposed to do, and the fundamental building blocks it needs just to get out of bed in the morning, so to speak. Okay, so you've got this little butterfly-shaped gland in your neck, and it's basically the master regulator of your body's entire economy, your energy. When it's underactive, which is what we call hypothyroidism, it's like the main engine of your body is just idling way too low. And when that happens, everything starts to slow down. Do any of these look a little too familiar? That bone-deep fatigue, feeling cold when everyone else is fine, the brain fog that just won't lift? These are the classic calling cards of a thyroid that's struggling to produce enough hormones to keep your whole system running on all cylinders. So, to make those all-important hormones, your thyroid needs a whole team of nutrients. But there are 2 that are, without a doubt, the MVPs of the whole operation: iodine and selenium. You can think of iodine as the actual raw material, the bricks, for building thyroid hormones. And selenium, that's the essential worker that puts it all together and protects the factory. And that brings us to what is, honestly, the most important part of this whole explainer. It's not just about getting enough iodine or getting enough selenium. It's all about the delicate, absolutely critical relationship between the 2. This is the detail that so many people miss. So let's look at iodine first. Its relationship with your thyroid is what's known as a U-shaped curve, and it's just what it sounds like. Too little iodine, big problem. It can cause hypothyroidism. But, and this is the part that catches people by surprise, too much iodine can do the exact same thing. It can actually slam the brakes on your thyroid, especially if you have Hashimoto's. Now let's bring selenium into the picture. Think of selenium as your thyroid's personal bodyguard. Its job is to take the storage form of your thyroid hormone, T4, and convert it into the active form, T3, which is what your cells can actually use. It also acts as a powerful antioxidant, protecting the gland from all the stress that gets generated during hormone production. The good news is, getting enough selenium from food is usually pretty easy. And check this out, just 1 or 2 Brazil nuts a day is typically enough to meet your entire daily need. How cool is that? Of course, you can also find it in things like tuna, chicken, and eggs. Okay, here it is, the big one, the crucial warning. If you're low in iodine, if you don't have enough of those bricks, and you start supplementing with selenium, you can actually make your thyroid function worse. Why? Well, selenium speeds up that T4 to T3 conversion. But if you don't have enough T4 to begin with, you just burn through your reserves way too fast. It's like hitting the accelerator when your gas tank is already on empty. So the takeaway here is really simple, but it is non-negotiable. Balance is absolutely everything. You have to make sure your iodine status is good before you even think about adding a selenium supplement. You gotta have the raw materials on site before you send in the construction crew. Now, speaking of iodine, that whole conversation leads us perfectly into our next topic. We are going to tackle one of the biggest, most stubborn myths in the thyroid community, the fear of certain vegetables. Yeah, let's just ask the question straight up. Are super healthy foods like broccoli, kale, and cauliflower secretly sabotaging your thyroid? This is a huge source of anxiety for so many people, so let's clear it up. So this idea didn't just come from nowhere. There is a kernel of truth to it. These vegetables contain compounds that, yes, in a petri dish, can interfere with how the thyroid uses iodine. That's where the fear comes from. But the real question is, what happens in an actual human body, in the real world? This slide really tells the whole story. The most famous case study on this involved a person who had to eat over 3 pounds, that's 1.5 kilograms, of raw bok choy every single day for months on end. I mean, that is just a colossal, totally unrealistic amount of food. And now the latest and greatest science confirms this. A massive systematic review from just this year, 2024, looked at over 100 studies, and the conclusion was crystal clear. For people who are getting enough iodine, cruciferous vegetables pose no threat to thyroid function, period. So, please, the verdict is in. Don't be afraid of these amazing nutrient-packed foods. They are so good for you. And hey, if you still have just a little bit of concern, remember this: simply cooking them drastically reduces any of that theoretical goitrogenic effect anyway. Okay, for our last section, let's shift gears and get super practical. We've talked about key nutrients and foods, but for anyone out there taking thyroid medication, there's a daily habit that is arguably just as important as anything else we've discussed. It's a simple truth, but a powerful one. You can have the most perfect thyroid-friendly diet in the world, but if you're not actually absorbing your medication properly, you're just not getting the full benefit. How you manage your morning routine can make a world of difference. The process is incredibly simple, but you have to be consistent. First thing when you wake up, take your pill with a full glass of water, and only water. No coffee, no juice, just plain water. Then you set a timer. You have to wait at least 30 to 60 minutes before anything else, and I mean anything, crosses your lips. After that waiting period, you're good to go. Have your coffee, have your breakfast. And you should know there are a few things that are especially notorious for interfering. Minerals like calcium and iron are famous for literally binding to your thyroid medication in your stomach, which prevents you from absorbing it. For those, and for really high fiber supplements, you need to space them out by at least 4 hours. So to wrap it all up, it really comes down to 3 main pillars. First, understand that critical balancing act between selenium and iodine. Second, let go of the fear and embrace all those amazing nutrient-dense cruciferous vegetables. And third, dial in your medication timing to make sure you're getting every last microgram that you're prescribed. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about tonight. Take a hard look at your morning habits. Is your routine set up to support your thyroid, or could it be accidentally sabotaging it? That little window of time between your alarm clock and your first cup of coffee might just be one of the most powerful levers you have for your health. And of course, just a quick and important reminder, this is all for informational purposes. Thyroid health is complex and requires personalized medical care. So please always talk to your own doctor before you make any changes to your diet, your supplements, or your medication plan.
Thank you for being here with me today. Remember, small choices create big changes. Keep nourishing your health with love and consistency. See you in the next Vital Elixir video.